What does it take to be one of the richest Bitcoin holders out there? We're going to go through that today, go through the Bitcoin rich list, take a look at what some wallets are doing, accumulating very heavily. And honestly, I love to look at this because there are some wallets that literally have been opened in the last 2 days and already are some of the richest wallets in the world in terms of Bitcoin. Like if you blinked, you missed this wallet. We're going to break it all down. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on that bell notification. For some reason, I had an allergic reaction. I've been sick the last couple of days now. I have some allergic reaction to something I ate. So in case you're wondering why I look like a chipmunk, that is why. But we'll continue to work through all these random things that are happening. While you're down there hitting subscribe, there's also a link down there to Margex. So I've been playing around with leverage a little bit recently, as you can see here. Almost 70%. It was like 120% yesterday. It's been pretty easy. I have a full video actually on the channel on how I'm using leverage. Margex and the other partner down there, Blofin, don't require any KYC, don't require any VPN. So if you want to trade, those are some of the best places to use underneath the video. And I'm not saying to go wild and gamble all your cryptocurrency away, but I have a small amount. I do $100 trades in down really to work on technical analysis, to also have something fun that I can look at that's a little bit shorter term than the long-term bags of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies I hold. So definitely check those links out. Blofin's also running a campaign where when you use the link underneath the video, you can get a chance to win an iPhone 15. It is based on your trading volume. So you sign up, you deposit, you start trading, and you can get that iPhone 15. Also, Margex is giving you a deposit bonus. So definitely check out both those in the description. Now, on to the important stuff. The Bitcoin rich list. So many people see that Bitcoin's around 37,000, 38,000. Sometimes it spikes up or falls down, and they want to know how much should you really own? Now, while that is dependent on your own portfolio, you can see what other people own. A lot of people don't realize that. So we can talk about Bitcoin in so many different ways. How people don't have enough. There's a mystery whale that's buying. I made that video yesterday. Why BlackRock wants you to own a lot of Bitcoin. I talked about that yesterday. We could talk about how institutions are buying a huge amount. This is the weekly asset fund flows report. I haven't even covered that this week yet, but we had massive inflows, the largest inflows that we've seen in a year plus. GDP is growing. I talked about how we're really headed for a perfect landing at this point. Countries are looking at adopting Bitcoin. There's so many different reasons to be interested in Bitcoin, but today we're blowing past all that. We're not talking about why this small South American country has had inflation averaging 27% and how they're talking about adopting a Bitcoin standard. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about how Mark Cuban is selling a majority stake of his team, the Dallas Mavericks, how he's leaving Shark Tank. Maybe it's to run for president. Maybe it's to buy some more cryptocurrency. We're not talking about that. Today, we are looking at the Bitcoin rich list. So this is a website. It's actually BitInfo Charts, but if you look up Bitcoin rich list, it will come up. This is a really interesting website. And while there's a lot of information, you don't really realize how much information there is until you really understand what this website shows. And there are tons of other rich lists too. I can go into all these in future videos if you want, whether it's Feathercoin, Redcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin. There are a lot of different rich lists, but today we're looking at the Bitcoin rich list, and it shows you the wallet balances, the number of wallets, the total Bitcoins in different wallet sizes. Now, I want to look at a couple specific wallets in a moment, but before we start, we don't really understand all the information on this. So when we go into a wallet, some of them are labeled, like this one, Binance Cold Wallet. Some are unlabeled. We have no idea who owns this. We have no idea who owns most of these. And we don't know if they're buying, even if they're accumulating in these wallets. They could have multiple wallets. They're sending it to this wallet, for example. We could be just showing them not even buying, but they just had it on exchanges and then they moved it off. Typically, though, when someone gets Bitcoin into their wallet, we generally think that they are buying. The reason for that is because most people that have hundreds of millions of dollars, like this wallet here, they have 400 and $30 million worth of Bitcoin, they probably wouldn't keep it on an exchange, right? There's too much risk with that. We also know that the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is going down. So someone is buying it. It's most likely these wallets that we show continuously getting bigger. They're most likely funneling a lot of money into USDT, or they're putting USD in their wallets, maybe on Binance or something else, or some of those other exchanges we talked about at the beginning of the video, and then they're taking Bitcoin off of the exchanges. That's what we're seeing here. We've gone from 2.22 million Bitcoin on exchanges about 6 months ago to now 2.02 or 2.03. So 200,000 Bitcoin have come off exchanges. We can also see it here. If you look up Bitcoin exchange balances, Binance had 40,000 Bitcoin come off of exchanges. Coinbase Pro had 1,700. You can see some going actually into like Bitfinex, Gemini. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a net of negative 20.6 thousand Bitcoin over the last 30 days. So we can see Bitcoin coming off of exchanges continuously. So those are most likely going into some of these wallets. Now, what can we see on this website? Does it tell us how much we need to hold to be ultra wealthy in a couple of years? No, but it does tell us how we stack up versus other people. For example, you can see wallets that have 0 to 0.00001 Bitcoin. So basically any kind of dust, right? There are a lot of wallets that have just a small amount of dust. We're talking about nearly 4 million wallets, and together they hold 19.22 Bitcoin. So there's barely anything in these wallets. I mean, for example, this is, I don't know off the top of my head, but less than basically $1. So why do they hold this? Well, because there's probably just some leftover crypto. They moved it out of a wallet, and there's maybe a fraction, like again, 0.00001 Bitcoin that was left, like a penny or something, that just, they didn't click it right or something. They didn't type it right. So then there's just a tiny bit left over. So this is basically just people that have had leftover wallets. And then the next amount is 38 cents to $3.80 at the time of this recording. These are wallets that still have a very small amount, maybe as a rounding error, probably that, because I don't know anyone that's saving $3. Maybe it's someone in a different country that just has a couple dollars left in their Bitcoin wallet, but this does account for a decent number of wallet addresses. Almost 10 million wallets have this amount. Altogether, it holds a very small amount of Bitcoin still, 427 Bitcoin. Now we start moving into people that have, $3.80 to $38. Probably still wallets that aren't accumulating, probably still wallets that people just transferred some money out. Maybe it's some kind of wallet that had extra deposit or something, or maybe it's some small country merchant that took some Bitcoin as a payment once, something like that. But let's get into the ones that actually are accumulating a decent amount. So 0.01 Bitcoin, that is $380. So these are probably people that have started to buy some Bitcoin. They don't have a ton of money, but they have started to buy some Bitcoin. They hold a very small amount of the total supply of Bitcoin, only about 0.22%. So this is the combined 43,000 Bitcoin that all these wallets have, wallets that have under about $400 worth of Bitcoin. They hold only 0.2% of the supply. However, this is about 50% of the overall addresses. 48% of that Bitcoin addresses have less than $400 worth of Bitcoin, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. They hold such a small supply. Then you start moving. Let's go into the 0.1 to 1. So basically $3,800 to $38,000 worth of Bitcoin. There are very few addresses that actually have this amount. Only under 7% of the overall wallet addresses hold this amount. There are about 9% that hold this amount or more. So these are people probably like you and me that are accumulating, trying to make a financial change in their life, trying to accumulate that one Bitcoin, the elusive one Bitcoin, and they are super close. Some of them just, at zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, so still a while to go. They hold a total of about 5.57% of the total supply of Bitcoins. All of them combined hold about 1.1 million. Everyone below this only holds about 1.6%. So 1.6% of the supply is held by wallets with less than 0.1 Bitcoin. Then 5.6% is held by wallets in this range. Now, 1 to 10, there are actually a growing number of people that hold 1 to 10 Bitcoin, and they continue to grow their assets. You can see this on the Wayback Machine, which lets you look at past charts from the Bitcoin rich list. You can see these wallets are accumulating pretty much under 1,000. People are buying, they're buying up more. So there's more held by these wallets, and there's also more wallets coming up the ranks that have this amount of Bitcoin now. So 10 to 100, there are actually only about 0.3% of people that have 10 or more Bitcoin. At least 0.3% of the wallets out there have this amount of Bitcoin. Now, they hold about 23% of the total supply. Keep in mind that wallets that have 10 or more Bitcoin hold 93%, not 93%, hold. Keep in mind that wallets that hold 10 or more Bitcoin hold about 82% of all Bitcoin, which is nuts, right? There's only about 0.3% of wallets that have this amount of Bitcoin or more, but they hold the majority of the Bitcoin. So if you want to be rich, if you want to have, if you want to have 10 Bitcoin, you will be in a very small amount of people that can actually ever get there. And there are a lot of large entities that continue to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin that are robbing people from ever reaching these statuses, stati, as you will, if you will. So we continue to see it becoming harder and harder, whether the price is going up or whether entities just buy a large amount of Bitcoin to ever hit that 1 Bitcoin standard. Now, let's look at some specific wallets. For example, this wallet just started buying recently. You can see here, they started buying a month ago, late October, October 31, they started with 110 Bitcoin. Now, over time, they've been buying and buying and buying. Just today, they bought over 600 Bitcoin. So they are accumulating at a very fast rate. And now they have $430 million worth. Who knows exactly who this is? They are becoming one of the richest Bitcoin wallets out there. They're 74th on the overall rich list. And they've started in the last month. Some people think this is BlackRock. Some people give me a hard time when I said that BlackRock only has 7 million in actual cash on their balance sheet. A lot of people don't understand. BlackRock is buying Bitcoin. They said this last month that they're going to seed their ETF. While they have $10 trillion in assets under management, the company itself doesn't own all that money. They only have about $7 billion worth of cash as a business. Now, while they can push people to buy Bitcoin, most likely they're not doing that yet because they don't have an ETF set up. So they're buying it themselves. I don't think that they're spending $430 million. I could always be wrong. Maybe they're front loading it. But I do think that they are buying miners. They're buying GBTC. Maybe they're buying Coinbase. They're buying other entities that have to do with Bitcoin and with crypto. But I don't think that they're buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin right now. I could always be wrong. But this is probably some really wealthy individual that is looking to buy a significant amount, or some company, right? We just got done with Q3. Like, what are the chances that this happened the last day of the quarter? It would make more sense if it was the first day of the quarter to me, but it's the last day of the quarter for companies. Maybe it's some big company that's going to announce, because, I mean, this time zone could just be off too. It could be a company in a different time zone. Some company could announce, hey, we bought Bitcoin this last quarter. We now hold $500 million worth of Bitcoin. Who knows? That's kind of crazy. This is another wallet address that started buying back in August. They are now the 17th richest on the Bitcoin rich list. They bought they transferred in just 0.001 Bitcoin, $30 worth the first time. And then about 10 days later, they transferred in a really small amount. And then they transferred in 5,100, then 5,100, then 5,500, then 6,100. They continue to add aggressively, really quickly. And now they have over $1.38 billion worth of Bitcoin. Again, 17th richest on the rich list. Another wallet here that started just 2 days ago. This is nuts. We don't know who this is either, but 2 days ago, they transferred in 8,000 Bitcoin, and this just popped up on the list because they were outside the top 100. They're 131 after that. Now they're 71st. They transferred in another couple thousand worth of Bitcoin over the last couple days. Now they have $410 million worth of Bitcoin. Just nuts that in 2 days, a new Bitcoin whale can appear. Someone that has billions of dollars in wealth or billions of dollars on their balance sheet, just out of nowhere becomes one of the richest Bitcoin holders in the world. You can also look at the dormant Bitcoin addresses. This can give you an idea for how much Bitcoin is probably lost. So we talk about Bitcoin on exchanges. There's also a lot of Bitcoin that's just lost that people will never have. So while it looks like there's about 19.55 million Bitcoin out there, the fact is a lot of it has been set to the wrong address. A lot of it, people died and just didn't have anything set up, or they lost it early on when it wasn't valuable or as valuable. So it is rarer than people think. When we look at this, you can go to any time and see all the Bitcoin that hasn't moved since then. So for example, if we go back to 2016, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can see 3.68 million Bitcoin have not been moved since this date. So a lot of people think that there are $3-5 million worth of Bitcoin, or 3-5 million Bitcoin, I should say, that have been lost. Because just because we look at 2016 doesn't mean that someone didn't lose Bitcoin between 2016 and now. So there's probably millions of Bitcoin that are lost that will never be recovered, that just take it out of the supply. So it becomes even rarer yet. Now, how much Bitcoin do you need to be on the Bitcoin rich list? Well, it's pretty easy. You just go down to the list, and there's one entity that bought a lot of wallets, or push money in a lot of wallets on the same day. So 11/2/2022, 10,000 Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. They hold like 10 wallets or so, all with 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, they transferred in on different dates. The last time they transferred in on this wallet was 6/16. All the other ones 11/04. So it's probably one entity that owns all these. It's kind of nuts when you think about that one person could be way further up on the list, like top 10 if they just kept it in one wallet. But instead, they diversify. So if you do want to be in the top 100, you need about 10,000.00001 Bitcoin. That would put you in the top 100. That would put you in the top about 80 right now. But you're actually going to have a lot less people that own that amount of Bitcoin in front of you, because some of these people have multiple wallets. Like this person probably owns all this Bitcoin right here. So you might be able to hit one of the top 100 Bitcoin holders if you have something like 8,000, 7,000, something like that. But let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Do you like videos like this? I think it's pretty interesting. Really, to beat out most people on Earth, you're only going to need like 0.001 Bitcoin or something like that, because a lot of people just can't even afford that. A lot of people don't have water to drink. A lot of people can't figure out how to buy Bitcoin in the first place. Now, that's going to change in the future. More people will buy it in retirement accounts, most likely when BlackRock and Fidelity start pushing for it. But we'll have to see. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the links underneath the video to Margex and to Blofin. I think both of those are great exchanges if you want to trade on leverage. And I'll see you in the next one.